Hi everyone, good morning. Today I'm going to be talking about how and why we use the McGuffies in our homeschool. So keep watching if you're interested. So some of the reasons why I've enjoyed the McGuffies, I had never heard of them. I heard of them through Sherry Hayes from momdelights.com. She has a YouTube channel and she's a wealth of information. So yeah, if you have not checked out her YouTube channel, go ahead and check it out because she has a ton of information and a lot of wisdom. She's homeschooled like 15 children for over 30 years, and she has a lot of the stuff that I do in my homeschool is what she's suggested, and it's worked perfectly. So anyways, the reasons why we like them. I didn't hear about them until my daughter was, actually I had heard of them from her since at the beginning of our homeschool, but I never really decided to do it. We've always leaned towards Charlotte Mason. So we always did copy work. We always did narration and dictation. It really intrigued me that you could just use one entire thing for spelling, for grammar, for all those things, right? So I went ahead and got the whole set. I got it from Rainbow Resource, I think for $100 and something. But I mean, it is a little pricey if you buy the whole thing, but I mean, it comes with what, 7 books? It comes with 7 books, and then it has a parent-teacher guide from Ruth B. Chick, which is actually really useful. So I started my daughter off in the 3rd reader because she was in 7th grade, and we have enjoyed it. She's about to finish it. She has enjoyed it thoroughly, and she does dictation. And so I'll flip the camera around, but I just want to talk a little bit more about why I like them. I like them because they're cost effective. They're non-consumable, so you can pass it down from kid to kid, from child to child. You can use it K through 12. It has rich language because they were written in 1836, and they haven't been dumbed down. They're not dumbed down. They don't have any political agenda in it. They're very biblical, and they have very biblical and moral passages in them. They have whole passages of scripture. Whenever I was doing research about it, I bought this book, McGuffey and His Readers, and it just talks about how the whole worldview of the McGuffey readers. It talks about his life and how he was a minister, and just how he intended them to be used. So this was really helpful. This kind of convinced me to use the originals. It says that he was a schoolmaster to a nation. So the chapters are named Schoolmaster for the Nation, Biographical Reflections, America's Most Popular School Books, Exemplary Lessons from McGuffey's Readers, and McGuffey on Education. So it has all that information if you're interested in, getting a little bit more information about that. So I just wanted to read you a few quotes here from this book. It says about McGuffey, it says, he learned to read the Bible at his mother's knee and continued to study its contents from his earliest years at Wick Subscription School through his preparation for the Christian ministry until his last days as a Sunday school teacher at the University of Virginia. Piety and learning were never separated in either his life or work. From the 1st to the 4th reader, belief in the God of the Old and New Testaments is assumed. When not mentioned directly, God is implied. Another part says, the McGuffey readers assume that all true knowledge of God is dependent upon God's book, the Bible. Includes many lessons about the Bible, but he also uses much material taken directly from the Old and New Testament. So they're very biblical and very moral. So that's what I appreciated about it. And so if my kids are going to be learning something, I'd rather them be learning something that's going to be good for them, right? So one thing about the McGuffies is that they're not graded by grade level, like how our modern education thinks of things. They go up to the 4th reader. They start off with the primers, which is like when a child is learning to read. Then they have the 1st reader, the 2nd reader, the 3rd reader, the 4th reader. The 4th reader is more 9th through 12th grade. The 3rd reader, my daughter has used it 7th through 8th grade. She's almost done with it. And I have already created my daughter's lesson book for the next year. So I'll show you how I set that up for the 4th reader for 9th grade. Okay, so we can see here that the first one is the Eclectic Progressive Speller, the Eclectic Primer, the Eclectic Pictorial Primer, the first reader, the second reader, the third reader, and the fourth reader. I have not used these yet because I started off my daughter when she was already in the 7th grade. But I am going to be using this with my next two. And we're going to be going into this one for high school. So this will not be finished in 1 year because the way that you use them, or the way that we use them, is we do one lesson a week. We focus on one lesson a week and then we move on, right? And so there's enough in here for 4 years if you're doing maybe 36 weeks a school year. This one has lasted her 2 years because there's enough lessons in here for 2 years, right? So this one, the Progressive Speller, is more, I don't know, I looked at it and I didn't really use it, but it is helpful. It has an analysis of the English alphabet. It has all the sounds of the vowels and like the rules, the sounds of the consonants. So if you wanted to use this for teaching your child how to read, I guess you could. And then it goes into like the vowels, like bay, bee, bi, bo, boo, day, dee, di, do, do, ba, bi, bi, ba, ba. They were learning how to blend, and then they show them a few pictures. And then they have CVC words and syllables of 3 letters. So it's mostly like that. And then it gets, I guess you could use these to like teach the silent E and stuff like that. So they have word lists. This is more of a speller, I guess. And so it goes all the way to like, I guess, high school level spelling words. So it's just a little nice resource to have. The first reader, the primer, there's an Eclectic Pictorial Primer and a Eclectic Primer. This one, I used it whenever I was first teaching my son his sounds. So you can just go over, and it has, so you could show them the letters, how they look in normal letters or italic letters. And then they have, you know, pictures. I didn't really use, for example, this one, because when we were first learning how to blend, we would just blend CVC words with like short vowels. And so this one wasn't one that we did, but we would practice saying and, man. And so he learned how to like blend in here, and then how to read these. And then it goes straight into like, I guess, like frequently used words. I wouldn't really call these sight words because they do have a rule. Except like 2, right? But yeah. So I not really using this one too much. This one is the one that we're currently going through for him. So it starts off, lesson 1. Is it an ox? It is an ox. It is my ox. Is it an ox? It is an ox. It is my ox. So it starts off very gentle, and that's just one lesson. They could practice sounding it out here and then reading it and then copying it. And you could split this up into like 3 lessons. Lesson 1 could be split up into 3 lessons. Do we go up? We do go up. Do we go up? So when they're saying spelling, they're saying sounding it out. And yeah, you could have them copy it, read it, teach them the words that they don't know, like teach them that so, he, you know, any word that ends in a vowel that's only 1 syllable will probably be a long vowel. Right here is, he did some copy work and pictures in a regular notebook, but you can use the lesson book from Sherry Hayes or print out her free ones, but you don't have to. You could just use a simple, you know, cheap composition notebook. So it just goes like that. And so, like, for example, this is what I was saying in my other video, that the revised primer kind of introduces the words or the phonograms before they just throw it in here. Like in here, they just threw you in. So I just looked it up in the ABC and all their tricks book. And here, you can go in here and look up, it's alphabetically ordered, O-N-U as in soup. So you can see there that you can teach them, hey, O-N-U sometimes say ooh, like in you or youth or you and soup. So that's what I did here. I just went in there and told him, hey, this says ooh, you, ooh, oop. So yeah, so you can just introduce things as you go. This is very gentle. And so they can do copy work. I don't know if at this age I would be doing dictation, but you can do it. So that's the first reader. I mean the pictorial primer, sorry. This is the first reader. So do you see how they're very moral and they're always mentioning God in them? And I believe the revised editions, they don't do that. They do mention God, but not as much. So that's the first reader. The second reader is a little bit thicker. So I would assume this one is maybe for like 5th, 6th grade. I love you too. Yeah, I would assume this is maybe like 5th, 6th grade level. This is a third reader. I've heard some people say that that they use the originals up until the second reader, and then in the third reader they switch to the revised because these are too morose or something. But I've read every single story. My daughter has read them to me, and I have yet to find anything that's questionable. I mean, they talk about death. I mean, you know, real life stuff. I don't see anything that, you know, would make us switch to the revised. So what I like about this third reader is that they have rules while they're reading. So I would make my daughter, so the first day, Monday, she reads it to herself and then she fills out a lesson page. Second day, she reads it to me, and before she's reading, she reads this rule to me so that we both know what she's supposed to be doing. Each one has, I mean, even I've learned things along the way, you know, reading rules. And the third day, she would do some definitions and so on and so forth. So this is the third reader. And then the fourth reader is, of course, a bit thicker. And this is what we're going to go into. So these are some of the titles of the stories. So this is how I've set up her notebook for next year, for her to use along with the fourth reader for 9th grade. So day 1, and this is from Sherry Hayes. I'll link it below if I can find it. So she'll put the title, what's this lesson about? Give a short synopsis about what it was about, put the date, the lesson number, copy something from it, copy some words, write a sentence with the words, draw something. So that's day 1, and reading the whole passage, which these get longer. Next day, she would read it to me out loud. And then Wednesday, I would have her write out. So at the end of each lesson, there's words picked out. I think they still do that in this one. Yeah, they still have words picked out from each lesson. And so she would write those in these spots and give me a definition. And then she would use them in sentences, and she can doodle something on there if she wants to at the bottom. These are also from Mom Delights. So yeah, spell and define. And this is why the parent teacher book from Ruth B. Chick is kind of helpful, because in here it has for each reader, it has all the words used and a small definition. So she doesn't have to use a dictionary. If she doesn't find it in here, she will, but she can use these, you know, refrained, held back. They're just short, straight to the point definitions that are in her lesson. So she can use come and get this if she wants to, or she can use a dictionary for the definition. And then Thursday, she does copy work of it. So I'll tell her, like, let's say I'll write it in her planner if she's doing lesson 15 right here. Monday, I'll go ahead and tell her, okay, we're going to do dictation on paragraph 3. So study that paragraph, and that's what we're going to do dictation on. And so she would do that on Thursday. Copy that down, copy specifically that paragraph on Thursday so that she's ready for Friday. And then Friday, we would do dictation. And then it starts all over again. So dictation is just reading the passage aloud to your child, and they have to memorize it. They have to memorize all the punctuation, all the spelling, all the capitalization, the grammar, and everything used, and they spell it to the best of their ability. And then you check it, go over it afterwards, and, you know, if they have any mistakes, fix them. And so that's how we do it. So just another quick overview. Day 1, she fills this out. Day 2, she reads it aloud to me. Day 3, she does definitions and sentences. Day 4, she does a copy work on the dictation passage that I've picked out for her, or maybe that she's picked out. Day 5, we do dictation, and then we talk about any mistakes, and she fixes it and whatnot. And so that's how I set up her notebook. And I have 36 weeks in here for a 36-week school week, a 36-week school year. So that is how I've set that up. So like I said, we primarily use the originals. I have printed out the eclectic primer from the revised editions because just for reading practice, because, you know, like I mentioned in my last video, they do start off very gentle, and they introduce the phonograms at the top. And so that's one of the reasons I printed this one out. And then I found these for like 10 cents each while thrifting. I don't have the last ones, but they're very, I mean, I probably still use this for practice and reading, honestly. They have very nice pictures. I think they're a good option. So yeah, they introduce, that's the thing about these, they do introduce things before they just throw it in the passage. And this is the second reader. A little bit more wordy. So yeah, guys, I hope that this has been helpful, and I tried to make this video as short as possible. I do have to get to my stuff, right? And you have stuff to do too. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. So have a blessed day.